¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's Mark25 otra vez. I'm going to try and speed this up because I keep getting phone calls while I'm trying to record this damn thing. And that shit has to stop. I don't have the technology to fucking record on my computer because my computer camera doesn't fucking want to work because I cannot update my shit. It's an old computer. I cannot do anything with it. So I'm having to record on my phone. So please stop calling. Anyhow, so here's my deal. Like, I was watching the DomCast on UCast Studios. It's with Dom2K. He's a really great YouTuber. You should look him up. Him and his buddies were talking about, a bunch of different stuff, and then they come to the Hall of Fame discussion. And it actually happened in a couple of podcasts that they've talked about it. And they talk about Chris Webber, Ben Wallace, Tim Hardaway Jr., like why they may not have a case to get into the Hall of Fame, even though they have really good stats as to why. And then freaking, they talk about, Chris Webber. Because of the whole incident he had at Michigan where he called a timeout and they didn't have any timeouts left and cost him the championship. I get it. That sucks. But that should not keep him from being in the Hall of Fame considering he has a decent array of stats and all-star appearances. That should at least get him somewhere. If you can see, you guys don't care about the rings apparently, but he can get in, right? And then Ben Wallace, 4-time, Defensive Player of the Year. And has a championship. He's not in the Hall of Fame. And the reason why they say, he might not because of malice at the palace. Really, there were more than one player that was involved in that scuffle. And two, the fans were just as much as involved. And the fans were the ones that actually instigated that shit, if you actually watch the footage. So no, I don't think that should be a reason. And if that is, that's a shitty reason. Because you can get in trouble for fighting, but you can't get in trouble for fucking molesting a child like Karl Malone. And then that's another reason why I'm kind of frustrated with the whole Tim Hardaway thing. Granted, yes, I understand. He said something very homophobic. And I understand it, and that's shitty. But the man has actually improved himself. He's actually done more to help the LGBTQ community to wrong his rights. And you could say, that's so fake, blah, blah, blah. But see, you don't know his intentions. You really don't. So to say that is not fair. Especially for what he's done for the game. You cannot make that a reason as to why he does not get in. I'm sorry, that is not a reason. And again, the whole thing with Karl Malone. If he does something way worse, yet fucking Tim Hardaway cannot get in. Okay, so then they talk about Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups, he's a, Mr. Big Shot, a heck of a player. They say he's not a Hall of Famer. Really? A guy that has won a championship is not a Hall of Famer. And again, you all want to take the context of things. But see, he was a huge part of that championship run. And not only has he done it once, he's actually been in multiple finals and a huge array of conference finals appearances. And he's a multiple-time All-Star. But it's still not enough, apparently. So let's look at that particular finals and ring. Because it is extremely underrated. And you can watch Rusty Bucket's video on Kevin Garnett's comments, the Celtics versus the 2004 Pistons, and why they're underrated and the freaking Celtics are overrated. You can watch that one if you want. But let's get down to business on that. Chauncey Billups, 21 points, 1.2 steals, 5.2 assists, 3.2 rebounds, 90+% free throw percentage, 47% field goal percentage, 51% field goal percentage. That's pretty damn good. And that's in the finals, okay? That's his final stats. I mean, he also had help. He had Chauncey Billups, who had 21.4 points. So just a little bit more points than Billups. Assists, 4 assists, 5.2 rebounds, and 40% from field goal and 3-point field goal percentage. So that's still pretty good. That's a good teammate to have. So they both probably might have even had a chance for MVP, but I think obviously because of the field goal percentages Chauncey Billups had, he obviously was the clear-cut one on that one. And then you had Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace. They had less than 15 points apiece, but they were still good on the defensive glass, getting rebounds. Rasheed had 8 rebounds, Ben had 14 almost. And for a center, Ben Wallace, and I'm also making a case for Ben Wallace too. Ben Wallace had 1.8 steals. That's almost 2 steals. For a center, that's pretty damn impressive. Yeah, their free throw percentage isn't great. Like Ben Wallace was always a subpar free throw shooter, but so is Shaq. Yet he's a Hall of Famer, but whatever. Um, and yeah, like 40% from. Oh no, sorry, Ben Wallace. Yeah, 47.8% from field goal percentage. I guess that's not great, but it's not horrible for a center at that time. And Rashid, 45.3 field goal percentage. Okay, so those are his teammates, Chauncey Billups' teammates. Okay, and nobody really thought much of that team. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's crap that they don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Because guess who the hell they played in that finals? The Kobe and Shaq Lakers. Kobe and Shaq. Possibly one of the greatest duos of all time. And you're telling me that's not Hall of Fame worthy, that they played that team and won? You could say, oh, well, there were a number of problems with the Lakers that season. Kobe and Shaq were not in good terms. Who the fuck cares? They're still great players. And they added Karl Malone and Gary Payton. Yeah, they underperformed in that finals too. But the fact that they even had them on their team is ridiculous. You have 4 Hall of Famers on that team. 4 Hall of Famers. And granted, yeah, they didn't play Hall of Fame level, but the fact that Shaq and Kobe was against this team is still pretty damn crazy. Yeah, Kobe did not have good field goal percentages, like 38.1 regular field goal percentage and then 17.4 from 3. That's pretty dismal. But he still managed to put 22, possibly 23 points up on the board. That's still damn good. He had 1.8 steals, 4.4 assists, 2 rebounds. And then Shaq, pretty much a monster game. If they had won this series, Shaq would have been the MVP. He had 26.6. You probably round up to 27. 11 rebounds, 63% field goal. And of course, free throw, I don't give a shit because, again, if Shaq is a bad free throw shooter and yet he's in the Hall of Fame. So whatever. And yeah, Gary Payton and Karl Malone struggled. They only had they were below 10 points. And they were still at least contributing in the rebounds and assists. But as far as their percentages, yeah, it wasn't a very good game and showing for them. But still, the fact that this team, nobody thought they would win. The media, the fans, nobody thought that the Pistons had a shot at beating this team. And yet they still won. And guess who that sounds like? That's right, the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. Same shit. Nobody thought that team would win. And they had 3 All-Stars on that team. And those 3 All-Stars lost to that team. And that's what's so crazy. That 2004 squad is so underrated. And see, another thing to make that point stronger, and I don't know if I already mentioned it, Chauncey Billups won MVP for that series, Finals MVP. How does that not get you a knock on the door in the Hall of Fame? How? I ask you, how? And you could say, oh, well, his seasonal stats were not that great. He wasn't even top 100 in a lot of his other stats. Okay, assists he was. And the fact that he got his teams to the conference finals that many times is pretty damn good. And also, the fact that he even went west to play with Carmelo Anthony and helped him get to a fucking conference finals. That should say a lot as to how good he is. But again, we also need to understand this is not just an NBA Hall of Fame. It's a basketball Hall of Fame, all of basketball. And he's actually even making his case now in the Big 3. He's playing really damn well there too. But also, before that, he was 3-time Mr. Colorado basketball. He has 2 gold medals, one both for FIBA, in Las Vegas and in Turkey. Gold is gold, my guy. Gold is gold. That should count for something. Overall, I just really think we underestimate Chauncey Billups and Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton. Those 3, in my opinion, should be in the Hall of Fame because of the team they beat and how well they played in that finals. They should be in the Hall of Fame. And I beseech you to explain to me why that's not Hall of Fame worthy. I don't get it. you could say, oh, well, Chris Paul has the stats. Okay, but where's the championship? Chauncey Billups has a championship and a finals MVP. That should be enough. That should be enough. But no, it's never enough. It's not enough. But whatever. That's just my rant on that. And again, it's no disrespect to Dom2K. I like the guy. He's an amazing YouTuber. But I cannot agree on this. And if he decides to, like, respond to me and make a video on me like, oh, this guy's an idiot, it's whatever. But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And yeah, you could go advanced stats and shit. But I'm sorry, but, like, why do we use advanced stats to belittle people? You're just going to belittle him more. Even though it takes a lot of hard work to get to the finals. You're diminishing a ring just because of certain aspects that he doesn't entirely have control of. And also think about it. These players work their asses off, season in and season out, to what? To win championships. That's the point. And that's why I don't understand Dom2K and some other YouTubers' logic as far as, like, diminishing rings. Especially when he led that team. It should not diminish a thing. We put Dirk's ring and LeBron's ring in Cleveland on a goddamn pedestal, but Chauncey we don't? How is that possible? Why is that the thing? Considering who he beat. And at that time, the Lakers were the heavy favorite. Everybody thought the Lakers would win. It was pretty much like the Warriors. Everybody thought they would win. So I don't see why Chauncey Billups does not get the credit he deserves as a Hall of Famer, and Ben Wallace as well. But again, it's really up for you all to decide. I don't always claim to be right, but on this, I think I have a pretty strong argument that he should be a Hall of Famer, and so does Ben Wallace, and so does Rip Hamilton. And shit, possibly even Rasheed to some extent. Tayshaun I may not have a case for, but for the most part, at least 3 of those players on that team deserve a Hall of Fame nod. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments. Suscríbale a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós.